morning, everyone. Good morning, invited guests, students, teachers, counselors, and those of you joining us here, joining with us, and partnering with us on this initiative that we are embarking on today. Welcome to the launch of the Expanding Digital Supports and Core Competencies in Gender-Based Violence Interventions to Youth-Centered Organizations program as part of the Spotlight Initiative. I am Karika Clark, and I will have the privilege of being your chair this morning for these proceedings. This morning, I would like to welcome Ms. Diane Francis, to our program coordinator here with us, to lead us in an opening prayer.
Good morning, everyone. If you can please stand. Everybody put yourselves in the mood for prayer. Catholics, go ahead and sign yourselves. Heavenly Father, we come to you today giving thanks, giving glory, for you are God, Lord, and you are the one who made all of this possible. Lord, I thank you for bringing everybody here safely, and I pray that those coming are brought here safely as well. Lord, we thank you for these opportunities. We thank you for the recipients. We thank you for the donor. We thank you for Chelsea, the executive director, for coming up with such a program. We thank you for everybody who had a hand that played a part in developing this program. Lord, we thank you for the recipients. We hope that this donation and this program will assist them with getting help and bettering their circumstances. Lord, again, we come to you just giving praise, glory, and thanks, and praising you for your work. We are your children, and keep us safe. Again, thank you, Lord, and bless everyone. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Francis. Now I would like to welcome up the Girls of a Feather founder and executive director, Ms. Chelsea Foster, for her opening remarks.
Good morning again, everyone. Today we are gathered here to discuss one of the most pressing issues that plagues our society, gender-based violence and its impact on women and girls. Violence against women and girls is an egregious violation of human rights, and it affects millions of women and girls worldwide. It is a problem that is deeply entrenched in our culture and society, and it affects women of all ages, races, religions, and socio-economic backgrounds. Gender-based violence can take many forms, including physical, sexual, and psychological abuse, and it can occur in many settings, including the home, schools, workplaces, and the community. St. Lucia, like many other countries in the world, has faced significant challenges in addressing the issue. According to a 2018 study by the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, 1 in 4 women in St. Lucia had experienced intimate partner violence in the past year. This issue is not a new one, but it is a growing one. In recent years, we have seen an increase in the number of reported cases right here in St. Lucia. For instance, last year, the Vulnerable Persons Team alone had recorded the highest number of sexual assault cases nationally, happening amongst girls under 16 years old. The government of St. Lucia over the years have attempted to take steps to address this issue, including the establishment of a national gender-based violence task force and the development of a national strategic action plan on gender-based violence. A commendable effort most recently has also been the passing of the Domestic Violence Act that provides legal protection for victims of domestic violence. However, challenges remain in terms of interagency collaboration and implementation of some of these plans, as well as the root causes of gender-based violence and changing cultural attitudes towards gender roles and relationships. The costs of gender-based violence are significant, both in terms of human toll and the economic impact. It undermines the ability of women and girls to participate fully in society and to contribute to economic growth and development. It also creates a burden on healthcare systems and other social services, which can have a ripple effect on the economy as a whole. To end gender-based violence against women and girls, we need to take a comprehensive approach. This means working together to address the root causes of the problem, including gender equality, social norms that condone violence, and lack of access to education, economic opportunities. It also means investing in prevention efforts, such as education campaigns and community programs providing support to survivors, including access to healthcare, legal services, and counseling. Some of the work we at Girls of a Feather are committed to improving is accessibility of support for women and girls from all demographics. In 2021, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, we piloted one of our first GBV initiatives, our telehealth platform, providing free virtual counseling sessions for persons in need of mental health support, which is crucial for persons exposed to any form of abuse. Telehealth can be a valuable tool in addressing this issue and supporting survivors who may face barriers to accessing traditional healthcare services due to factors such as a fear of stigma, transportation difficulties, or concerns about privacy and confidentiality. It can help overcome some of these barriers and provide survivors with access to important agencies, including referrals to community resources. In most cases, they may experience a range of mental health issues such as depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and substance abuse. We must understand that it is extremely important to provide survivors with support that is sensitive to their specific needs and experiences. This may include trauma-informed therapy, which acknowledges and addresses the impact of trauma on mental health. It is also important to provide them with information about available resources, such as crisis hotlines and support groups. Today, with the support from the UN and European Union Spotlight Initiative, we have been able to successfully continue our telehealth program to incorporate both of these interventions onto our website by providing a digital directory of St. Lucia's GBV service mapping, as well as increasing the number of licensed mental health practitioners working with us. What we are recognizing globally is the contribution of digital technology, which now has the potential to play a significant role in ending violence against women by providing new tools and platforms for prevention, support, and reporting. We also see many possible solutions in its use, such as prevention. Digital technology can be used to educate people about gender-based violence and promote healthy relationships. Social media campaigns, online videos, and webinars can also be used to raise awareness and educate people about the harmful effects of gender-based violence. It can provide support, a safe and confidential space for survivors without the fear of being judged or stigmatized. Digital technology can also make it easier for survivors to report incidents of GBV. Hotlines, mobile apps, and online reporting platforms can all be used to enable survivors to report incidents of GBV quickly and easily. It can enhance data collection, providing insights into the prevalence and patterns of violence. This can help policymakers and organizations to design more effective prevention and response strategies. And finally, it helps promote accountability. Digital technology can also be used to hold perpetrators accountable for their actions. For example, online monitoring can be used to identify and track individuals who engage in abusive behaviors online, while digital evidence such as text messages and social media posts can be used in legal proceedings. As individuals, we can all do our part. We can support organizations that provide services to survivors and advocate for policies that address the root causes of violence. We can also educate ourselves and others about the issue, and we can work to challenge the social norms and cultural attitudes that perpetuate violence. Community-based initiatives and education programs must also continue to be prioritized to help promote gender equality and empowering young people to recognize and prevent violence are critical to addressing youth and gender-based violence in St. Lucia. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Foster. Ms. Tony Broadber, a representative from the UN Multi-Country Office, has over 20 years of experience leading and implementing social development and gender equality programs globally, and has spent the last 8 years as a representative with the UN Multi-Country Office. Now I ask you to turn your attentions to the screen as we take remarks from Ms. Tony Broadber.
A pleasant good morning to you. The European Union United Nations Caribbean Regional Spotlight Initiative is, as many of you know, a global multi-year program that addresses specific regional challenges that prevent progress on the effective prevention and response to violence against women and girls. The Regional Spotlight Initiative prioritizes working with regional bodies and supporting regional advocacy through civil society organizations networks by transferring lessons learned and engaging in South-South and triangular cooperation. Now, the Spotlight Initiative is an incredible investment by the European Union and the United Nations to support women's involvement in community, national decision-making, and increasing accessibility to quality multi-sectoral services and approaches to prevent and respond to family violence within the context of ending violence against women and girls. While women's organizations are well networked regionally, barriers to the inclusion and participation of grassroots groups needs to be addressed to ensure that marginalized populations can participate on equal terms, that they can support advocacy with regards to political decision-making and access the resources that they need through grants and capacity strengthening programs. Therefore, the need for institutional strengthening and capacity building of grassroots organizations in advocacy, strategic planning, managerial, organizational, operational, broadly, budgeting, and M&E skills is a priority for the UN Women MCO Caribbean's work with civil society organizations. Given that crucial role that civil society organizations and women-led organizations in particular play in creating the conditions for change, in ensuring that the issues of gender-based violence are never far from the priorities that are national, regional, or globally, whether or not funding exists, especially with regards to not just the areas of gender equality and women's empowerment that speak to ending violence against women and girls, but also the advancement of sexual and reproductive health and rights. UN Women MCO Caribbean has embarked on a series of interventions to support civil society organizations in continuing that work to eliminate violence against women and girls. With the support of our partners, our UN sister agencies, and the European Union, we have been providing technical and financial assistance to women's rights groups and relevant NGOs representing groups facing multiple and intersecting forms of marginalization. We've used a grant facility to strengthen the capacities of smaller grassroots organizations that enable equal participation and influence when it comes to advancing progress on gender equality and women's empowerment, which means ending violence against women and girls. Now, these grants are intended to support NGOs and CSOs working in the issues of family violence, especially those responding to the needs of women and girl survivors of violence against women and girls, as well as those humans, people that face multiple and intersecting forms of discrimination, whether they be people living with disabilities or people from gender non-conforming communities and the broader LGBTQ plus community. Now, a second intervention that UN Women led after and during concurrently with the grant facility was the first Caribbean CSO retreat, which brought together civil society organization representatives from across the Caribbean region in a unique encounter, aiming for alliance building, aiming for finding ways in which we can disagree respectfully and understanding that we may not all ever agree on the same ways to achieve the principles of gender equality and women's empowerment, but we all should be in this space. UN Women MCO Caribbean has enjoyed a long-standing relationship with many of you across civil society in this region, and of course UN Women has done this across the world. Civil society, and specifically women's-led organizations, as I indicated before, have always played a pivotal role when it comes to gender equality. UN Women would not exist without you. It is important to continue to have a robust, independent civil society that has an evidence basis that is used to collaborate with governments, to ensure accountability, to translate and support governments in translating commitments into laws and policies, and to see this make a real shift in the lives of women, girls, boys, and men. We see you responding to the needs of the most marginalized communities, and we see you doing so with very little. The launching of the Girls of a Feather Spotlight Small Grant Project is a momentous occasion for us all. It demonstrates the progress that we've achieved in strengthening partnerships with civil society to advance these goals of gender equality and women's empowerment through ending violence against women and girls. And just know, we will continue to support not only Girls of a Feather, but also all CSOs in our region as they scale up or create new and innovative ways to support marginalized communities and to end violence against women and girls. We're really happy to have partnered with Girls of a Feather through this small grants program, and we will continue to invest in opportunities that seek to strengthen the capacities of CSOs across the region. We're happy to note 16 youth-focused organizations have been able to benefit from the work that we've done, and the products include the existing online telehealth counseling platform, which will be expanded through this project to include additional services provided by licensed counselors to vulnerable individuals and groups, supporting Girls of a Feather's website to be expanded so they have that online resource of service providers and organizations that support gender-based violence survivors and their families, and the resource materials needed so that a social media campaign can reach those who need it most. We look forward to the success stories of this project, of which we will know there will be many, and extend the best of wishes for a successful implementation. Thank you.
Yes, and a special thank you to Ms. Tony and her partners at UN Women for partnering with us in this initiative. Next up, we will have Ms. Serene. Ms. Serene is a holistic therapist with over 20 years of experience working with children and families in child welfare, living in chronic medical conditions and providing psychotherapy treatment to children and adults. Serene holds a master's degree in social work from Yeshiva's Wurzweiler's School of Social Work, licensed in clinical social work in several U.S. states, and a certificate in the seminar in field instruction to provide clinical education to social work students. Join me and turn your attentions over to the screen as we welcome Ms. Serene.
Hello, my name is Serene Prince. I'm a holistic psychotherapist and child and teen expert. I am so excited and honored to join Girls of a Feather as they launch this needed telehealth mental health service for those who suffered from gender-based violence in St. Lucia. As an Antigua and Barbudan descendant and national, this hits home. We know far too often that mental health services are lacking throughout the Caribbean countries, specifically mental health services that are safe for those who suffer from gender-based violence. Telemental health services allows those who have experienced unfortunate gender-based violence or continue to experience it receive the needed mental health services in a safe space. That means that they can access mental health services any place, anytime where they deem safe for them. Also, having a tablet to access also ensures that they will receive services on a device that is reliable. The telemental health services that will be provided also allows us to learn more about the common mental illnesses that women and girls face when they've experienced gender-based violence. We'll learn the common mental health illnesses. We'll learn the common symptoms that they're facing. We'll also learn that whether or not this service is needed long-term. As a clinician, I know that this service is needed long-term because the path and the journey of trauma is different for everyone. But having that data is really key to Girls of a Feather being able to, share with stakeholders and all those involved in this initiative to fund continued ongoing needed mental health care. Again, I am honored to be a counselor of Girls of a Feather Telemental Health Services in providing accessible, quality, and compassionate, culturally attuning mental health treatment. Be well.
Thank you, Ms. Serene. Okay, next up we will have Ms. Chelsea Foster once again to give us an overview of this program.
We could pull up the screen to our new website. So for those of you who may have already been familiar with our telehealth program that we launched in 2021, you would know that we had about 2 counselors on our websites. We had one for crisis counseling, and we had another for just general mental health services. And when we launched this program in 2021, in the midst of the pandemic, we really just wanted to make sure that there was a service available. It was free, it was accessible, and we really saw a demand coming out of that program. It ran for roughly 6 months, and over that 6 months, we had roughly over 130 bookings made for clients. So we saw that there was a need. There were a few things that we definitely needed funding and resources for. Example, collecting the data, continuing to support the counselors, and even expanding the resources available on our website. So with the support of UN Women, we are now able to, as Tony would have mentioned, upscale a website. We now have a digital directory with the service mappings of services available, and we also have 5 new counselors on the platform. So I believe if we go to our counselors, we have Miss Odile McKenzie. She's a licensed clinical psychologist. She's actually a St. Lucian, but she's based in the US. We have Miss Leanne Joel Filbert. She is a counseling psychologist. She's based at the Wellness Center, but she will be part of our platform, St. Lucian based. You just met Serene a while ago. She is Antiguan, also based in the US, a clinical psychologist. And we have Miss Linda Williams, based in the US, our 5th and final psychologist. So on this platform, we have now added the fact that we can collect data, so we can access where are these persons coming from, the age groups, the types of services or the needs that their mental health needs that they're requiring at the moment. We can collect specifically, or they can actually now be assigned a specific counsel, or they can choose. The first time we didn't have too many options, but now most of these licensed psychologists can provide counseling to survivors of gender-based violence as opposed to one. So these are the new initiatives and the new updates that we've made to our website. So expanding our resources, expanding our clients, expanding our counselors. To tell you more about our project in terms of expanding very long topic, expanding digital support and core competencies in gender-based violence interventions to youth. It has a few deliverables, the first of which you've just witnessed, our new website. The second will be the actual training that we will be receiving. You'll hear right after me one of our facilitators from the Survivors Trust. But we definitely knew that as a small organization, Girls of a Feather started as a community group. We grew into a youth serving organization and now fully legal nonprofit organization. While we were accessing or providing access to services, we were not working directly with the counselors. The relationships were strictly with the clients and the counselors. And persons would ask, well, are you working directly with those persons? And unfortunately, we would have to refer them to other persons, whether it was case management or assisting with legal aid, etc. So we recognized that we needed to build our capacity. And this is one of the things that we will be doing through this project, the funding of specialized and non-specialized training for organizations who are interested in working with survivors. A lot of the times it's very difficult to find that access. You have to look for a consultant overseas. You have to look for an opportunity or workshop that maybe pops up every now and then. So we figured if we can work with different civil society organizations or persons who are interested in building their capacity, this training would be for them. So the Survivors Trust will be working with us to deliver that over the next month or two. And of course, we'll be developing public service announcements to support and promote our new telehealth platform. So finally, we will obviously need to work with schools and communities in understanding how to use this platform. We are using a third-party application in terms of conducting the actual virtual sessions. So ensuring that agencies, that organizations who are interested in integrating this project into their usual, services that they offer, we will be doing workshops with them on how to use it, so they can clearly understand how to refer clients to that project. So that's more or less some of the updates that we'll be doing and what this project will entail. It will be going on until June, so the project will last for about roughly 3 months, but we're hoping to really collect some solid evidence. As Tony and Serene would have mentioned, evidence-based support and sustainability is very crucial. When we met with the counselors, one of the things that they really mentioned was that it can be challenging if somebody starts counseling sessions and then it ends abruptly. So we want to ensure that we can continue the services for an extended period. So looking for funding opportunities and seeing how they can continue, or even looking at how agencies can continue to support them when the service may not be available, because it is seasonal. But for sure, we want to collect data, and we want to see really and truly what are the most pressing issues, mental health issues that are affecting survivors today, and removing those barriers to them accessing it. So again, we are very excited to be partnering with UN Women, the European Union Spotlight Initiative, and we'll definitely be hoping to share with you some of the success stories from this. So thank you again.
Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you for shedding some light on what this project will entail and how you guys will be very instrumental in seeing that it moves forward. Next up, we will have Miss Helen Jackson from the National Umbrella Organization for Specialist Rape and Sexual Abuse Support. The Survivors Trust, based in the UK, should be joining us virtually, so turn your attentions to the screen.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me this morning. It's been really wonderful hearing about this project and the passion behind it, the sense of community, and undoubtedly a need. So we at the Survivors Trust, we have been around for about 20 years, and we train people working within lots of different settings. It could be the education setting, it could be the police. We really can train whoever comes to us, and it is around a trauma-informed approach. So a lot of the training that we provide will really look at the impact of sexual violence, gender-based violence. And we're really passionate about ensuring that survivors and victims can receive the best support in a timely manner as quickly as possible, which is not always possible, largely due to funding and resources. So we're particularly passionate about making sure that survivors' voices are heard and listened to. So here in the UK, in snowy England, it's pretty cold today. We have about 120 different agencies around the UK, and they are a part of our organisation. So we listen to the voice of survivors and we feed it up to government level. And we make sure that legislation is focused around protecting children and adults that have experienced sexual violence, rape, and any type of sexual violence. But we can also feed it down to our organisation. So we often are involved when there is legislation that's been discussed, new laws, new changes, and we pride ourselves in being the voice of survivors. So I have been listening this morning, and I am really excited for this project and making sure that our young people, our children, are supported, particularly with the digital world as it is. Everybody's got a phone in their hand, and there are all sorts of vulnerabilities around in the world today. So yeah, really, really passionate about this. A lot of the training that we do is around person-centered care. So the person in front of us is in a sense leading their support and telling us how we can best support them. But we also ensure that whoever we are training really looks after themselves. Working around trauma is not easy. And so we will spend time just talking through the implications and making sure that people have the support that they need to support victims and survivors of sexual violence and gender-based violence. So thank you again for having me this morning. And you will be with my colleague Linda. She'll be doing the training in about a month, and we're really excited about this new project, particularly because it's for our young people. This is where we need the money, the interventions, the training, the support, so that we can reduce the impact later on in life. So good luck, everybody. I'm excited to see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I will now welcome Ms. Chelsea Foster and Ms. Diane Francis to join me in handing over the tablets.
So we have selected 10 organizations, 4 of them being secondary schools, and the remaining organizations being NGOs who work with survivors of abuse. So we were very strategic in terms of which organizations we selected. So ensuring that there was physical infrastructure that organizations can conduct these sessions. It was very important. Secondary schools that were based in the South, that were based on the West Coast, the East Coast, were very important to us. And continuing to work with agencies who are allies and continue to do the work of supporting women and girls. So at this time, I'd like to call on one of the first recipients of the tablets, and that's the Choiseul Secondary School, to receive the donation. You can pass here. The second school that we have is the Castries Comprehensive Secondary School. And unfortunately, two of our schools could not make it today. That's Entry Secondary School and Miku Secondary School, but hopefully they will be still receiving those tablets at the end of this ceremony. Yes? All right, so to our organizations now, we have from the Probations Department, Ms. Kafka Alexander will be representing the Probations Department. On behalf of the schools? Okay. We also have the New Beginnings Transit Home, who will also be collecting the tablet for the Department of Human Services as well. As we know, the New Beginnings Transit Home falls under the Ministry of Equity and the Department of Human Services. So, awesome. The next organization we have is United and Strong, who unfortunately were not present today. So I'm going to ask a representative from ECAID if they can come up to collect on their behalf. And the final organization, the National Council of Persons with Disabilities, Mr. Kevin Challery will be collecting on their behalf. So, thank you so much. And again, it was very important for us to include this as one of the components of this project because as we'll hear later on from Ms. Eugene, the importance of accessibility. There are persons who do not have access to stable Wi-Fi. They don't have access to strong or quality cameras for their devices, or their devices may not be compatible actually with the app that we use. So it was very important for us to incorporate that in this project. For students or anyone who may be accessing this service, their homes or the environments that they may be in may not be conducive to actually do therapy sessions. So some of these organizations do not offer counseling, so we're hoping that within the next few months they can actually see an increase in one of the provisions of services being added to their organizations. So again, we want to thank all recipients today, and we're looking forward to working with you and getting feedback on how useful this device is, and of course the counseling services. So thank you again.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Ms. Foster. Next up, we will have Ms. Khadija Holiday. Khadija is a past Youth for Gender Equality ambassador here with Girls of a Feather, and she's an avid spoken word artist, and she will be presenting a piece by Darren Samdi entitled St. Lucia, If St. Lucia Had a Mouth.
If St. Lucia had a mouth, sometimes she would be silent, like the girl on the verge of internal violence, thoughts of loneliness and self-hate piling until she reaches her brim. Inside her soul is a sulfur spring, and sorrow flings it into explosion. She needs a voice to talk back, a voice that understands the notion that many teens hold on to the hope that someone will come and stop them from paining. If St. Lucia had a mouth, she would state, "Let us save them." If St. Lucia had a mouth, she would say that catching an abuser is not the end of the process or the workday, for the survivor is in need of proper assistance. Women, girls, and children carrying prisons in their minds long after their abuser's sentencing. St. Lucia would say there's a system to give help to them and put an end to their demise. Them who's in line of fire, being shot by trauma, being shot by low self-esteem. Woe to the child who is unable to ever see someone as trustworthy again. St. Lucia would give them hope and love again. St. Lucia would give them their power again. St. Lucia would save them. If St. Lucia had a mouth, she would say, teach girls about condom use. Stats show that they often choose to be active and engage with curiosity in their anatomy. So common sense suggests now that if a hiker goes on an adventure, then equip the hiker properly to avoid slipping or injury or ending up lost in the forest with prayers alone saying, "Oh Lord, if I had known before, I would not be on the forest floor or a hospital ward trying to treat what I could have avoided." If St. Lucia had a mouth, she would say to the girls, "Let's talk."
Thank you so much, Khadija. Next up, we welcome remarks from Joycelyn Eugene, the Guidance and Counseling Coordinator with the Ministry of Education. Join me in welcoming her.
Good morning. It is my great pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of this Spotlight Initiative in St. Lucia, an important program aimed at combating gender-based violence among women and girls. I just want to say that I really appreciated this spoken word, and I want to thank Girls of a Feather for giving them an avenue for that voice and for being the mouth that St. Lucia needs. And I hope that we can all support you in that. Gender-based violence is a pervasive and deeply entrenched problem in our society, and it affects women and girls disproportionately. The Spotlight Initiative aims to address this issue head-on by providing support and services to survivors of gender-based violence and working to prevent such violence from occurring in the first place. Through this initiative, free therapeutic services will be made available to students who have experienced GBV. This is a crucial step in supporting survivors and helping them to heal and move forward from the trauma they have experienced. It is also an important step in breaking the cycle of violence and promoting a society where gender-based violence is no longer tolerated. We understand that seeking support for gender-based violence or sexual abuse can be a difficult and daunting experience, and we hope that the availability of this free telehealth online counseling service will make it easier for survivors to seek the help they need. The Department of Education plays a critical role in creating safe and supporting learning environments for students, and their partnership is essential to ensuring that students who have experienced gender-based violence or sexual abuse are able to access the services and support they need. The Department of Education will work to ensure that students in St. Lucia have access to the resources and support they need to learn and thrive free from the fear of violence or abuse. I urge everyone to continue working together to create a safer and more equitable society for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eugene. And finally, I would like to welcome again for the last time Ms. Diane Francis, our programs coordinator, to offer up our remarks.
Good morning again, everyone. So it has been such a great honor to be part of this event, and on the behalf of this organization, Girls of a Feather, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the European Union, the team from Human Women's Multi-Country Office, Akila Doris, Marcia Levine, Tony Broadber, and Lisa Legal Belgrave, the Spotlight Program Coordinator and Technical Coherent for the Spotlight Caribbean Regional Program, Miss Loveness Jabaya Nayakujara, esteemed guests and speakers, including those who joined us remotely. Thank you. Sincere thanks to the counselors who will be joining us for the next 4 months and the talented team, though not mentioned today, but will be partnering with us for the second leg of this program, DramaCan, to develop supporting school campaigns for this initiative. Thank you, Danielle. Our marketing and web development consultants, InSync and Mosaic. A wide round of applause and thank you to all the participants who helped make this event possible. Finally, I would like to thank all of you present here for making the time to be with us today and helping us make this event a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Indeed. Thank you, everyone, for being here with us this morning. Thank you for joining us in this launch, and thank you for partnering with us for the next 4 months at least as we move forward with this initiative. Now we welcome you guys to join us for refreshments afterwards downstairs. Please feel free to stay, mingle, talk with us. Thank you.